All right, Calling Podcast, episode number 24. Today I have Gabriel Stephen Perez from Opelousas, Louisiana, aspiring actor, and he wants to own his own digital marketing agency, which he's just started recently. How's it going? I know I screwed that all up, Gabriel.
That's all right. How you doing, man? I'm doing good.
Man, I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you coming on here and just sharing a little bit about yourself. And, Sky kind of hooked us up and said you'd be a good person to have on here. You probably got some awesome stuff coming up on the horizon. He said, you need to get to him first, Chad. That way when he makes it big,
Oh, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So,
Absolutely, man. And we were talking beforehand. It sounds like you got some cool stuff going on and you got some knowledge that I don't have. And I'd love to tap into you with some of that stuff, man.
yeah, I got a lot of things. Got a lot of things I'm trying to prepare for right now. So I'm just pushing through one day at a time.
Well, it's always good to have a couple of irons in the fire because you never know which one's going to hit. It sounds like you're trying to help some people out there, and you never know, how everything works because, everything's like networking and dealing with people. And, I always say HBO help brother out, and you never know when he might be able to help you out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Good deal. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, man, in your own
So I'm
words.
22. Yeah, so I'm 22. I'm living in Port Barry right now. I started out acting, I want to say 2021, like early around that year. Before that, I was doing some professional wrestling. But aside from that,
What?
I was doing some professional wrestling with some of the guys from the WWE. But um, I got hurt doing that, so that's what that's what kind of led me into acting. Tore my shoulder doing that. Uh, but yeah, aside from that, I'm a big gaming nerd. I like watching movies, TV shows, especially like horror and things like that.
Any of the wrestlers that we might know of?
For people that watched it like back in the day, like Billy Gunn with the Road Dogs, he was there.
Okay.
He's the guy that I was wrestling with when I tore my shoulder because the
Oh,
dude's
wow.
huge. I think he's like 6'6", 350 or something like that. So wrestling him was different than wrestling somebody my size, 5'11". You know, so when he throws me into the ring post, I'm kind of already like used to how other people like the effort they took for them to throw me, so I kind of help him out a little bit. But with him, it was like I needed to sandbag him just so he wouldn't throw me so hard, and then I flew across the ring and just didn't end up too well
Ah,
for me.
and a lot of people say wrestling is fake, but it wasn't fake that day, was it?
Oh hell no, no, but no. So a lot of people don't understand. So everybody thinks like the ring is soft, but I swear to you, it's not. So the little ropes that you see, it's steel cables and they're like super tight. You have to run in with your full body force. It's just wrapped around in tape, so you don't like kill yourself, obviously. Um, but then the floor, the mat it's just plywood and steel, and there's like a little 1 inch piece thick foam that lays over the top of it. And then other than that, it's like getting in a car accident every time you hit the mat. So it's not too fun.
Yeah. And what was your part in the wrestling? Were you a heel or were you another person or what?
It was just we were going through like a training camp because it was my first time getting into all that. So they had us play around with a few different characters, and we had what's called like promo night. So I used to be like super shy back then. So they'd have us stand in the middle of the ring, and then we'd have to perform like a whole little promo about who we were as a character to the entire audience, and it was that was probably one of the most embarrassing days of my life. Uh,
it gets
I
you
didn't
com-
do too good my first. Yeah.
it gets you comfortable working in front of a crowd for sure, huh?
Oh yeah, now I have no shame. I'll do I'll do whatever in front of people. But back then it was just like, God, I just remember the pressure that I felt, and then I was just so embarrassed after that.
Yeah, and I worked with a guy Garrett or whatever, and we was out there working. He's like, "Yeah, I used to be in a wrestling." I was like, "For real? What'd you do?" He said, "I was a heel," and I was like, "What's a heel?" And he's like, "It's kind of like the villain." I said, "What was your line?" He was like, "Oh, I'd be up on stage, I'd be in the ring, I'd be like, 'And you, sir, I see you brought your brother.' 'That's my wife.' 'That's your wife,' just to get everybody
Yeah.
hating him. And I was just like, really? He's like, 'Oh yeah.' And I was just like, that's so
Oh,
cool.
it was pretty fun being the villain. That was what my character was leaning in towards, was being a heel. So you definitely have a little bit more fun doing that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I still miss wrestling these days. I'm gonna have to get back into it at some point.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That sounds pretty good, but I mean, it's definitely something that you got to take care of yourself. Because I mean, I see some of those guys, and I'm like, man, I don't know how they take that beating. And the older I get, the more limps I have, and I just got to be careful. But you're a young guy; you got plenty of stuff that you could mess up. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Got to stay healthy. But I'm sure you hit the gym and work out, huh?
Yeah, so I'm actually just now I'm going on a bulk for the first time. So I used to do powerlifting in high school, and that was the
Okay.
first time I'd ever like bulked up. I went from like 140 pounds to like the weight I am now, which is like 165. I kind of maintained the same weight over the years, but now I have a new target goal of trying to hit like 190, 195. So I have a lot of food to eat, a lot of chicken breast and a lot of white rice, and it's just sometimes I have to force feed myself. I'm just like I don't want to eat it at all, but it'll pay off eventually. So
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a lot of dedication. I got a buddy of mine, Wade, he's actually from St. Landry Parish out there by you guys, and he eats chicken every day and white rice. And I was like, man, how do you get whatever? He's like, this is delicious. You know what I mean? And he stays pretty fit. You know what I mean? But it helps you from not being injured a lot. So that's awesome.
yeah,
Cool, cool. Hey, you got any funny stories about yourself?
so just recently, early this year, I started taking up skateboarding. Um, and kind of like a habit that I have is like I just jump straight into things without even thinking about it. So I used to work at this little fast food chain earlier this year, and I was kind of doing like some of their. That's kind of where I started my marketing.
Uh-huh.
At I built them a website and things like that. But one of my friends was actually the manager of the place, and then he kind of introduced me to these other people that was working there, and they'd all kind of been skateboarding for definitely longer than I have, and so they were like, "Yeah, let's go meet up after work and go skateboard." So I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we go to the skate shop just before we head out to do our thing, and everybody else was like, "I'm not wearing pads, I'm not wearing a helmet, whatever." And I was kind of thinking to myself, I was like, "Yeah, I was like, I don't really need pads or a helmet, so I'm not going to do anything, too bad." But I had a gig that was coming up for accident. I was like, I can't get hurt. I was like, they're gonna fire me if I break my arm or whatever. So I was like, whatever. So I bought a helmet and I bought some, knee pads, elbow pads, and all that. And then they take us out to this part on UL's campus, and it's like I don't know how to describe it other than like you could park and it's like two levels, but it's outdoors. So it's like there's a super steep drop and it has like a 90-degree turn and there's cars all at the bottom with their little parking stumps and stuff. I remember we climbed
Perfect.
all the way to
Nothing bad could happen
the
there.
so we all climb up to the top. I hadn't even tested my skateboard out. I hadn't even gotten on it and pushed it yet. We all climbed to the top. And like the more experienced people were kind of looking around nervous. They're like, well, who's going to go first? And before they finished even asking the question, I was just going straight downhill. And I just remember my skateboard wobbling so bad. And I don't even remember. I didn't have time to think. I just remember I woke up. I got knocked out. I woke up and like my friends were freaking out. They're like, oh, are you okay? You okay? So apparently I got what's called wheel bite, which is when your skateboard's like wooden deck hits the wheels and it causes you to stop immediately. It's like pulling the emergency brake going 65 miles an hour in a car. So I flew off and I like landed, almost did like a front flip, and I landed on right on top of my head on a parking stump. But thankfully, I had a helmet on. Flipped again, landed in the grass, and then skid my body all the way across. And I just like there was bruises all up and down. I was beat up pretty bad, and there was a big dent in my helmet. So I was like, well, it's a good thing I bought that because I'd probably be dead right now. But that's
The Lord, the Lord watched
that's
over you
just
on that day, huh?
yeah, it's just the dumb stuff that I get into sometimes. But
That's all. Is there a video or what? I mean, did somebody
oh,
record this whenever you said "hold my beer" and you headed on down there?
that was the worst part. Nobody filmed it. They were just like, everybody
Oh
was just in
man,
shock. And I was just, man, like at least I would have been had something cool to show off, to everybody. Like, look at this,
absolutely.
look what I
Y'all
did.
watch, y'all watch this. I set the record for the day, huh?
Yeah, no, nobody
That-
filmed it.
Dang, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I used to skateboard and I used to do a lot of stuff when I was young, and I realized now when I get on there, I was like, dude, I'm just gonna shatter my ankles, if I do it because it's been a while since I got on a skateboard. So good for you, man. Glad you didn't kill yourself
Yes,
out there. You still skateboarding or what?
yeah, I still practice every now and then. I'm not
Nice.
bombing hills like that anymore. But just the trying to ride it first.
Yeah, ease on in.
Yeah.
Right on, right on. Well, tell me how you got into to acting.
Yeah, so like I said, I started out in professional wrestling, and then kind of doing those promo nights, getting used to talking to people and all that. It kind of
Mhm.
opened me up and boosted my confidence a lot. So it always had been a thought in my head, but I just never went through with it because I was too scared at the time. But then after, like I said, humiliate myself in front of the ring in front of 30 people a night, I kind of got used to it. So after I got injured, couldn't really work out or go to the gym or anything like that. So I took that time to kind of start getting into acting, and then I've been stuck with it ever since, and don't plan on looking back.
Right, right. Well, exactly how does one start out?
So the smartest thing to do is to get into class. I didn't do that. I went straight into I went straight into just like I said, forcing my friends and family. I was like, look, be in this little short film with me, and I just started doing that. And it wasn't actually until like last year when I got into classes for the first time, and I was just like, why didn't I do this in the first place? Because it made everything so much easier. I met a lot more people, and I got a lot more like connections, and doing networking and stuff like that, and it was just made the process a whole lot easier. So
Where do
definitely,
these
I would say start out in classes.
classes? Where do these classes take place? Are these online or are these in person or what?
There are some in person, but I always took mine through Zoom. So like I can coach with people in Los Angeles, and I'll just be in my bedroom, and then we'll be on Zoom and kind of work that way. It kind of helps also because we do a lot of self taping for auditions, and we have to use like our phone to film everything. So it helps to perform like scenes through Zoom because you have to kind of use the frame that you're given as opposed to being in person. You can kind of move as much as you want to. Right here, it's like you're kind of restricted.
Awesome, awesome. So, most of the people that you deal with, those are all going to be out of the state.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've met anybody in the state that has coached with me before, like been in the same class as me. Everybody's like Atlanta or Los Angeles. I'm the only Louisiana boy in these classes so far.
I got you. I got you. Is there any type of movie scene or any films and everything made in Louisiana? What's the movie scene?
So it's right now it's kind of up and down because there's the whole thing with like trying to keep the tax incentive for films going around here. It used to be
Mhm.
really popular back in the day, and then it kind of died off, and then just recently, like projects, slowly started picking up and stuff again. There's a lot more like auditions and things going on now. A lot more like feature films and stuff taking place in like in the New Orleans area. But hopefully, once the holidays pass and all that, things will kind of start picking up again back in like January.
Hope you bring a little bit of excitement down here with them because I remember
Yeah.
back in the day, I'm not this was 100 years ago, whatever they did right there in the town of Amite, Louisiana, where I was living at. They did Two Guns, and I think they filmed a scene from Wolverine, and I think Matthew McConaughey had like a little television True Detective or something like that, and they were doing all that stuff in Louisiana for a little while.
Yeah, the film market was really good. It's just like I said, it's kind of in a rebuild right now. So I'm hoping that
Mhm.
things start picking up, just so everybody gets more opportunities and there's more jobs for people in the film industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, is there any roles that you've been in so far, as like, I guess, I don't know exactly how films go. Or is there anything that we might have seen or recognized you from?
So I had a couple featured spots in two TV shows. One of them was the last episode of NCIS New Orleans. I actually played one of
Okay.
the. It was a new character was introduced that season, and I played one of his friends. And then also in the new Interview with the Vampire on AMC Plus that just came out. This first season, I don't remember what episode it was in, but I kind of played like the little like love interest for one of the main girl that was acting in that show for a little bit. It was like a really small role, but it was cool to be a part of something
Absolutely.
like that. And then everybody that was watching it would always send me like pictures. They'd be like, look who it is, and it was really awesome just to kind of that was like my first taste of like getting onto projects like that, and then from there. I've done like more commercials and just now starting to get into like feature films and all that.
No, that's awesome, man. Because I actually, back in the day when I was in my 20s, I read a bunch of the Anne Rice books and, Interview with a Vampire and all of that stuff. And it's a very cool New Orleans style literature,
Yeah, it was really awesome. The sets and stuff were crazy. So that was one of the coolest things to me was like seeing something on that budget. You'll go into these little sound stages and they'll have like recreations of like an actual entire house, and it's like just made out of wood. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's probably pretty cool whenever you go, if whenever you do film or whatever, the finished product, how cool it looks. And I mean, I'm guessing that they can kind of just mock everything up, and whenever you first look at it, you're like, how's this gonna look?
That I'm always doubtful whenever I'm shooting something. I'm like, that was like, I don't know how this is gonna turn out, and then it's like the editors they do some movie magic, because sometimes I'm just like, how are they gonna play that out, and then it comes out, it looks really good. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's and as far as like an actor goes and everything, do you do any coaching? Get in any coaching done or anything like that?
Yeah, so I do work with my coach Greg. We do weekly coaching. I kind of, like I said, I kind of stopped doing it for a little bit just because I had all these things come up, and I've just been like super busy recently. But most of the time, yeah, I do have like some little weekly Zoom coaching sessions.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure that's got to be something kind of seasoned into how to stand, how to talk, and all of this other stuff. Because I know I couldn't do it because I'm just coon ass from Louisiana, and you get me up there, I'll be stuttering and futtering, and just you're not holding your mouth right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of work, especially like on the like emotional work that you have to be able to pull off, because you have to be able to tap into certain emotions as soon as they say action. So it's a lot of goes into that training as well.
Okay, well, yeah, but it's pretty exciting. Hey, tell me about your you got something coming that's on the horizon, pretty close.
Yeah, so I'm doing a movie in Michigan called Morrow Road. It's going to be shot. I'm not too sure yet. I think they're talking about something next year, but they just recently had done a short film based off of the movie itself. They had a whole
Hmm.
premiere for that, and they did really successful and did a really good job with that as well. But in that, I got to be an acting coach and kind of work with the actors on set. So I thought it was really cool to kind of get more of like a behind the scenes like taste into what goes into all this, and kind of helping the actors make choices and see how it plays out on camera. So I thought it was a really cool opportunity to do something like that.
Yeah, and you do have an acting role in that film, yes?
Yeah, so I'm the male lead in the actual movie itself, but in the short film, like I said, yeah, I just did some coaching with some of the actors to kind of help them out.
Okay, shout out to Morrow Road. I can't wait to see the final product when it comes out. You're gonna have to shoot me a text so I can get a look at it.
Oh yeah,
Up
for
there in
sure.
Michigan, huh?
Yeah, it's like in the Detroit area, a little far from there, like 20-30 minutes.
Yeah, I just actually was up there working a turnaround outage up there in Detroit, not far from there. And
Oh
very cool
yeah.
city. Yeah, I was actually up there for 45 days, and it's a really cool city. And everybody, they warned me about Detroit. Oh, you gotta watch this. You gotta watch this. And I got up there and I was like, this is a beautiful city. And then I booked an Airbnb and I messed up and I booked my next Airbnb. My buddy told me, "Oh yeah, I think I told him a close by city." He's like, "Yeah, I think that's a good area." And then my next Airbnb I booked off of 8 Mile in Gratiot, and
Oh.
you know, and I was right there for 8 Mile, and I'm driving through that town. I'm just like, where did I turn wrong?
Yeah, yeah, just don't go down the wrong street in Detroit and you'll be fine. But
Well, well,
downtown Detroit is nice.
yeah, it's a beautiful city, and they said a lot of it's improved within the last 10 to 15 years. And I mean, I told everybody, I said I don't know why they was talking about, Detroit was so rough. I haven't found a bad part of the city until I booked an Airbnb in the bad part of the city, and I was like, I found it.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
it can be rough sometimes. Did you ever see that big tire they have on the side of the road, like whenever you going down the interstate in Detroit,
Yeah,
the
coming
little
from the
Michelin
airport.
tire?
Uh
Yeah.
huh. Yeah, I did. It's a cool. I mean, they got a lot of landmarks, a lot of cool stuff. They got a lot of pride in the city. Very cool city. Everybody should go check it out. Oh, what
Yeah.
about you into movies? Like as far as watching movies, what kind of movies are you into?
Oh, I'm a big horror movie fan. So like all the Conjuring movies, any like slashers, thrillers, and stuff like that. That's what I'm all into. Like my favorite TV shows to watch is like The Walking Dead. So like kind of that vibe. But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm big into stuff like that. Like I said, my favorite movie is probably like the first Conjuring.
the first Conjuring.
Yeah, have you watched any of those?
I don't think I have. I don't think so.
Oh,
Are those newish
oh
style movies or what?
no, I think the first one came out in like 2014 or something, like maybe 2013. So they've been out a while. They just started shooting the last one. It's coming out. I don't know. I think 2025 or something like that.
Okay. I got you. Who's always the first person to die in any horror movie?
It just it just depends on
The silliest one, huh? Yeah, I got you back on now.
okay, yeah, somebody tried to give me a phone call, so it disconnected me for a second. But I don't know. It just depends. Normally, you could tell by the call sheet whenever they put your name on the call sheet, even if they don't show you the script, you can kind of just tell who's gonna die.
Uh huh.
There's a movie I'm working on, a horror movie coming up, and uh, I'm not even gonna talk about it. I'm gonna spoil something. I signed
Come
an
on,
NDA,
give
so
us a spoiler alert.
let me no. I need to shut my
You
mouth before I
good?
get
You good?
fired.
What about horror classics? Do you get into those any?
I tried some of them. I watched I watched the first Exorcist. But I'm bad. I'm bad as like far like I just only recently watched the first Friday the 13th and stuff like that. So I need to catch up on all that. But more of like the modern stuff is what I got into.
And I can see that because and you're probably aware of this or whatever, but one of the things whenever I was growing up, there was a show called Morgus the Magnificent. And Morgus the Magnificent, he was based out of New Orleans. And basically, he was in a warehouse, and he had this assistant Chopsley, and they did all these weird experiments. And while they weren't doing experiments, there was like these cheap B grade horror movies that would play. And you'd be watching it like The Blob and Slime and Swamp Thing and The Birds, and there was just these cheap low grade budget movies or whatever, and it'd be like on Saturday night, and the main attraction would be Morgus to see what he was doing, and it was just like you'd watch it, and it was just like that was the only thing to watch because. Yeah, I mean, you're probably not aware of this or whatever, but we didn't have all of that super fast stuff and all of these, commercial-less things. So it was just like everybody was glued. Oh, we're gonna watch Morgus on a Saturday night, and I go back and look at some of those films now, and it's just like, what were we watching? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
Because like the scariest ones back in the day were like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, and I remember being scared to death watching those coming up. And now I look at them, I mean, I'm like, and I'm just sitting there throwing popcorn at the screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything's especially like the CGI for stuff has definitely improved since then. So a lot of things look a lot more realistic now. It's crazy.
Oh man, dude, I watch some of the stuff now, and it's just like some of the stuff they could just create with AI, and I mean, they don't even need
Oh yeah.
actors, and they just create it. And I'm just like, I was watching like a skit, whatever, with all the political characters that were just on the agenda with Trump and Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, and Obama, and just everybody, and I'm just like, this is so real, and it's just like it's
Yeah.
amazing that they could just generate this stuff, and I mean, it's not better than real life or whatever, but it's pretty close to it.
Yeah, it's kind of scary how advanced AI is and how it's growing and stuff for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we were just talking about Chat GPT, and you gave me some cool ideas about, a blog or Chat GPT, and I mean, I wasn't aware of that stuff until February this year that they could do that stuff, and I was just like, this is so crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've definitely used it to kind of help with my marketing agency and stuff like that. Just like I said, I'll get it to write stuff for me sometimes if I don't have the time to do it, and in like 2 seconds it'll be done. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and like the good thing about Chat GPT is I could ask it to write something for me and it doesn't even have a coon ass accent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that also helps as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What else are you into, like as far as like self improvement or anything like that? Do you work in any of that type of stuff?
Oh yeah, I'm huge into like improving my knowledge and stuff like that. I love reading a book. I try to read like a book or two a week, especially like in the self improvement category, and then work on like mindset shifts and kind of improving like just my mental mindset and how I approach things and stuff like that, and just trying to practice that and like emotional self control and all that. I'm huge into just trying to better myself every day. So for sure.
That's awesome. Who's I guess some of your improvement influencers, like as far as
Uh,
people that you're into?
One of them is Grant Cardone for sure. I read his book, The 10X Rule, and that kind of motivated me to like take the steps that I need to keep improving and getting becoming successful, even especially on the days when I don't feel like doing anything. Other
That's
than
when it
that, I have
counts.
Yeah, and then I also have a life coach named Kyle. He's from Canada, so I always go to him, for like advice, and he's always, I kind of try to model my success off of, some of the things he's done and all that. So for sure.
Yeah, and I dabble in a little bit of that stuff myself, and it's like Jocko Willing, Extreme Ownership, and a good one is the 5 a.m. Club by Robert Shawarma. I don't know if you ever read that. And
Have not read
another
that
one,
one yet.
yeah, that's a good book. It's one of those top 10, books that you should read or whatever. And another good one is Brian Tracy.
Okay.
And yeah, I think he's a Canadian author, and I read one of his books, and I think that's one of the books that I actually read that actually got me into my self improvement journey.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing about it is if you just become content with yourself, you just kind of lay an idle, and it's like if everybody
Yeah.
else is kind of growing and trying to get better, it's just like they pass you up by natural process.
Yeah, I try to definitely stay out of like complacency and kind of just like being satisfied where I'm at. I'm always trying to. So like one of the things I took away from Grant Cardone is about like writing down your goals, every day when you wake up and before you go to bed, but make them almost sound unachievable as opposed to something you can get done today. So that way you'll work harder to get to that bigger end goal, and you'll improve a lot faster than if you just wrote down something that everybody could do today.
A buddy of mine, Aaron, he used to always say, "Shoot for the stars. That way, shoot for the moon. That way, if you miss, you land up amongst the stars."
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, who's your? You say you read a book a week.
Yeah, I read like a book a week.
Who's your? Do you have a favorite author or anything like that?
Not really, to be honest with you. Other than like I might say Grant Cardone. I've been reading some of his
Mm,
books recently. But aside from that, like another one is Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's the one I'm reading right now. I'm about halfway
sure.
through it, and that one's really great. Uh,
Yeah.
but I started out reading, especially into like acting books and like all about the industry and stuff. So my whole bookshelf is taken up by stuff like that, and I'm just kind of slowly adding the self improvement section in there. But yeah.
Have you read Jordan Peterson's book 12 Rules for Life yet?
I have not. I'll have to add that onto my list.
Yeah, put that on your list, man. Right, that's probably the best book I'd have to say that's on the top of my list right there, and it's really cool the insight that he has.
Yeah.
Uh, bu- 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 bu. So you said you grew up right there in Opelousas and in Port Barry, and what do you do as far as like a living out there right now?
So
How do
I
you
actually like
support yourself on your acting journey?
so I do have I just got hired working for a new marketing company in the Lafayette Baton Rouge area. I'm also growing my own agency and kind of doing stuff like that. So like I've been really relying on like social media marketing, digital marketing, for the past couple of years, and I'm just now kind of starting to take it to that like next level of building, like my own business as opposed to kind of, you know, doing like freelance work, as referrals from friends. Now I'm actually kind of approaching businesses and trying to get them signed into like monthly retainers and things like that, and helping them grow their business while at the same time growing mine. And I actually just met with a friend that I caught up with today. I hadn't seen him in a while, and him and I are kind of like partnering up in this aspect because he wants to learn. He's more into sales, and he wants to kind of get into the digital marketing aspect. So we kind of worked out like he's really good at like getting the leads and like selling to people. So I was like, look, I know the digital marketing aspect. So, you go out there and pitch it to people, and it's like whatever you get, I'll put you on like a 30%, retainer commission of whatever it is that they sign on for. So we're kind of just started recently building a partnership with that as well. So I'm excited for all that.
All right, and for anybody that doesn't know about it, and I probably don't know that much about it, to explain digital marketing to me.
So a lot of people, especially like businesses that have been around for a while, they used to heavily rely on things like like billboards, stuff like that, and like road signs, stuff at the bus stop,
Ma-
and then
Magazine articles,
yeah, all that. But
newspapers.
a lot of that stuff's kind of slowly going away. Billboards definitely still work if you can multiply where you're putting them at. But where
Uh,
everybody's always at right now is on their phone. So the whole goal is to, social media marketing is to try to get in front of the right audience, and you can kind of change the settings as to where your post goes, and like choose the audience that sees your stuff, which helps out a lot. And then like SEO for websites, essentially what you're doing is you're kind of everybody can have a pretty website, but if it doesn't get you, to the top of Google, nobody's going to ever see it. So the goal is to kind of optimize their website and boost them higher up on Google's rankings so that they can get more customers that way. And just doing, a bunch of stuff like that.
Does one boost ratings up on like the Google search engine?
So there's a way about it. It's through search engine optimization. There's on-page SEO and off-page SEO. So on-page is kind of going on there and like tweaking little things that you can actually do for the website. So if somebody has their website and it kind of just needs to be reorganized and add a few more words in there. So for example, like if somebody's a plumber in New York, you want to make sure that you have a page that's ranking them for that keyword so that when people search up, plumber near me or whatever, and they're in New York, that you'll pop up to the top of their feed. But if it's not optimized for those certain words, you're just not going to show up at all. And so the people that are going to be getting all the business and stealing away from you. And then once you only have to do that once, like fix somebody's website. And then after that, it's just kind of like creating content like blogs or videos and things like that. And then there's off-page SEO, which is where you're essentially linking back to your website. You're getting other websites to link back to you that Google already trusts. So like, if Facebook links over to your website, well, now you have a lot more trust from Google because Facebook's one of the biggest websites on Google right now. So it's just stuff like that.
Well, do you think that Facebook's kind of phasing itself out and it's just for older people? I heard that said before.
Not really, to be honest with you. So Facebook does a good job at keeping up with like the, trends. So like TikTok is something that's kind of blown up recently, but you can also do like the Facebook version of TikTok. And I've seen it definitely help out businesses and stuff before that I've personally worked for. So Facebook does a really good job at, maintaining its brand and not just kind of photo and caption. You can do videos and live streams and all that stuff now.
Yeah, and I guess it's all about keeping up with the times and just making sure and staying current.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. How did you figure out that you had like a passion or an knack for something?
So honestly, it was my life coach that got me into it. He had kind of told me about it. Like he's now making like 30,000 a month. He's working from home and he barely, he's at the point where he can pay other people to do most of the work for him, and he's kind of just like taking a percentage out of it. So and now he has complete freedom to do whatever he wants with his time. So that's one of the big things for me is that I want to have like freedom of my time, especially. So he could be on vacation, just bring his laptop with him, and then he could be doing work, on the beach or wherever he happens to be. And then once he kind of started explaining more to me, I started getting more and more interested in it because it's also a really good feeling to help a business grow. Like one of the things that he's done is like I think there was a funeral home that came to him for helping his SEO, their SEO on their website and all that. And they had started out, I think they were making like 80,000 a year, but now they're like in the 500,000 to 600,000 a year range, and they actually had to expand and add another location because his digital marketing efforts help them grow their business, and it's a really good feeling to help people out in the process as well.
Yeah, especially I guess with a small business that's barely scraping it by, and then you could watch them grow and actually become profitable and marketable and be able to.
Yeah, it's nice to grow with the businesses as well, so that's really cool.
And I know you said you just started out in this. I mean, have you had the ability to help any businesses grow just yet so far?
So I've done a couple little small projects when I was like first starting it out. One of them was with, I don't know if you, Kochner's, the Boudin specialty meats place.
We actually got some Sky they actually sent us some decent sausage up there in North Dakota because we were looking for decent smoked sausage, and the sausage that we found up there, they said it was smoked sausage, but it tastes like somebody made it and they were smoking a cigarette. They were smoking a cigarette while they made it. You know what I mean? And I was just like, it's terrible. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you short. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, Kochner's has really good food for sure. But I convinced the owner. I was like, because they already have a website. They have like a shop page basically where you could just go there to order stuff. But I kind of explained the process to him. I was like, look, like you could attract more people to the website by doing certain things. So he gave me permission to go ahead and build my own website for Kochner's, and then just whenever they wanted to buy products, I would have like a shop page, and when they would click on it, it would send them over to the shop page they already have listed. But within 3 months, I was able to get them 900, 950, somewhere around that range, people that were viewing the website every month, as opposed to, I think the other one, it was only like maybe like less than 100 or something like that. So it was really cool to kind of see that I could actually do it. And then, obviously when I left that job, I had to take the website down, but it was really cool to kind of see like get some hands-on experience and actually see it actually physically, come to fruition that I can actually do this. So it was awesome.
That's cool. So you put that Grant Cardone on them. You 10 times them real quick.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
That's cool, man. That's really cool to see that happen. What about family life? Tell
Oh
me a little
yeah,
bit about
I'm
family life.
yeah. So we have a pretty big family. There's 7 siblings in total of all of us. I'm not the middle child. I'm the third youngest. But oh yeah, all my me and my family all get along pretty well, especially the siblings. We're kind of always sometimes we'll get at each other's throats about certain things, but it's nothing major. It's just how we act. But
Of
we used
course.
to, especially me, my older brother, my younger brother, and my youngest sister. We were big into WWE back in the day, so you'd always catch us in the living room doing power bombs and body slams on each other, and oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I remember whenever we were young, this is before we had, cell phones and, social media and all that stuff, man. We'd all get around on Wednesday nights and we watch WWF. And when they get on, next thing you know, we'd have the living room wrestling match, you know what I mean? And it's just like smashing each other.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool, man. And I mean that's cool that y'all got such a good family. And I mean, I met your sister Callie cooking with KP. Shout out to her. And I met you out there at the Crackling Festival. So that's pretty cool how we got hooked up, man.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was kind of crazy, like you said, how the whole thing happened.
Yeah, yeah. So how's God on the move in your journey, man?
What's that?
I said, how is God on the move in your journey?
Oh man, he's definitely blessed me with a lot of stuff, especially this year. Um, like I said, I kind of started getting into like journaling and all that, and getting more into like nightly prayers and things like that. It's just I feel a lot more like grounded and connected. So, yeah, for sure, it's getting better and better.
No, that's it. And I mean, one thing I find in the morning time, and it's just like I try to read in the morning time and I try to journal like you're talking about. And it's just like it's really good to always set your anchor because the world it drags you in all kind of different places. And if you're not grounded before you leave the house, and you run across some of those people in traffic, you might go postal on somebody. So it's always
Oh
good to have
yeah,
a it's always good to have a good anchor. You know.
yeah, for sure.
Earlier you said something about playing video games. What kind of video games are you into?
Oh, I play a bunch of different things. Like shooters, like first person shooters and stuff, like Call of Duty. They have
Mm,
Fortnite. I play that every now and then. Uh, and then I play. There's supposed to be like this little kids game, but Roblox. Like sometimes my girlfriend and I will be playing Roblox, and we'll just play little like scary games on there. It's a lot of fun doing that as well. So,
yeah. So you still play Roblox?
oh yeah, I played in Roblox like a week ago.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I mean, I played it. I played it with my kids or whatever back in the day, and I used to be really into it, like Zelda, the Link with Link and Ocarina of Time
Oh
and all that
yeah.
stuff. And man, I used to be we. So this is how old I am. You know me. We used to all get together, and we used to have the Nintendo 64, and we used to play GoldenEye, where it was like 4 little screens on each one. This is before you had the headsets and y'all in your living room. And dude, we'd
Yeah.
we'd be in there, hey, side by side on the table, and everybody trying to get the golden gun on James Bond. One shot, one kill. So and I mean, I used to think I was pretty decent at video games, and then my son, he was playing Fortnite, and like I got on it with him, and like he would smoke me, and I'm just like, golly, it's so crazy nowadays.
Yeah, that and have you played any VR, some virtual reality yet with those little
I
headsets you put
I,
on?
I have not. Tell me about it.
Oh, it's crazy. So they have the MetaQuest 3 is what it's called now. And you put it on and you can actually see all of your surroundings, but you can play games that'll like I guess you would say like infect your surroundings. So like you play horror games and like actually walk through your house and it'll show you your boundaries so you don't like bump into stuff and all that. But you can actually just be walking through your house playing a game. I play a lot of boxing on there, and that wears you out for sure. But it's crazy. You definitely have to like I can't really explain it to you, but you go in there and you try it. It's crazy how like realistic everything looks.
Is it addictive or what?
Oh, it's a little addictive, but then you kind of get a little headache after a couple hours of doing it. So I don't play more than like an hour at a time. But I play like
That,
the football, like Madden on there. It's crazy. You get to be the quarterback, and there's these huge football players trying to tackle you. So it's awesome.
yeah, I bet. And what is that, a certain system, or is it just the Oculus that you put on, or what?
Yeah, it's just the Oculus. But I think they changed. I think the name might be like MetaQuest or something like that now. I'm not too sure.
Okay, I got you. And I mean, I think it's cool. I'll be honest with you. I'm still scared to try the whole VR thing. And I mean, I had some buddies at work. They were talking about how realistic it is, and then I heard about some people they were actually using it. I guess for like uh, training simulations or whatever with some companies, and it was just like the elevator would open and you're supposed to walk out on a ledge or whatever and just keep walking. And I mean, you end up falling, and I'm just like, do you die if you hit the ground and when you're in the VR?
No, it's crazy, and you can actually type like you can have a digital computer on your Oculus, so you don't even need your controllers. You can just type with your hands, and the digital keyboard will pop up, and you can actually do work on a computer, and it'll save it to your actual computer if you sign in through like your Google account. And it's weird.
It's so crazy, man. I mean, we live in just such a crazy atmosphere now, and just all the things that you can do. It's just amazing. What about you as far as like a manager or an agent? Do you have one of those that helps you get into roles?
Yeah, so my agent, her name's Rebecca Hale. I just call her Becky, but she's out in New Orleans, and she's definitely helped me, kind of advance my career. I've gotten a lot of commercials through her. I actually just finished shooting one like 2 weeks ago. Uh, I'm not allowed to say anything about that one either because I had to sign a contract for that. But it will be,
Non-disclosure.
yeah, it'll be show. The only thing I can say is that it'll be showing sometime towards the end of the football season, from what I was told. So might see me on there for a certain big company.
Awesome. Man, that's awesome. And like as far as like pay for, an aspiring actor or starting out actor, like what does that produce? Can you say?
It just depends. It's like it kind of varies contract to contract. It always normally goes by like the union's standard rates, but obviously as you kind of make more of a name for yourself, your agent will negotiate for like higher wages and stuff for you. But I think now if you do like a one liner on like a TV show, it's like $1,400 or something like that. And then for feature films, it kind of just depends. But yeah, like you could go on there and say one line, and then you make somewhere around that range. And then if you get to a series regular, so if you become like a main character for a show, you could be making like 25,000 plus a week, I think is what it is. So everybody's trying to go for TV because, especially if you make a character that lasts for several seasons, you can make a lot of good money with that for sure.
No, absolutely, man. They got some of those TV programs. I mean, just look at Seinfeld or some of those programs. They're on there like forever. And
Oh yeah.
I mean that's all. Yeah, crazy, crazy. Do they got any TV programs around here that you've ever tried to get into or what?
No, because I think the only thing we had going for us was NCIS New Orleans, but they just finished their last season in like 2023 or 2022 or something like that. So, fortunately, not. They did have the National Treasure series that came out on Disney Plus, but they unfortunately canceled that too. So that was like it was like a new hope, like oh, we might be able to have this new TV show people can audition for, but it sadly only lasted a season.
What so what about you said you got a life coach. What's some of the best advice that you've had so far out of anybody starting?
As far as acting goes, or just life in general, a lot of the things
Spiritual
he's really
advice, career advice, whatever.
one of the things that he kind of helped me out a lot with was like kind of getting that foundation of like my emotional self control and all that, because especially as like an actor, you have to have access to all of these emotions, and some of them are not always fun, and so you have to kind of be able to balance that into your personal life as well. Especially just like kind of just going with the flow in life instead of trying to like cling on to people or circumstances, just whatever's meant for you. You kind of just let it happen and let it be there, and you don't try to force things anymore. So I kind of gotten more into that kind of energy and stuff, and all that, pretty much thanks to him for kind of helping guide me in that area.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like you got a lot of good things, man. I like what you're talking about the digital agency and helping other people out there to grow. And I mean, I need to get up with you about some of that stuff to try to figure out how to, you know, do this thing, whatever I'm doing. I don't exactly know how it's going to turn out, how it's going to go.
Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely help you out.
Yeah, sounds good, brother. Oh, I'm trying to touch back. So, what's your favorite part of like the acting scene right now? Is it the coaching or is it the acting?
Oh, it's the acting for sure. The audition is kind of fun. It's not the same as like actually being on like a set. Whenever you're on a set and it's like you have the role, you can kind of focus 100% on that, and it's crazy because you get the experience of like living through different people, if that makes sense. So like things that I've never be able to do, like if I wanted to go be a lawyer or whatever, I could play the role of a lawyer or something like that, and you just kind of get to get into that mindset of like, what is this person? How do they think and things like that. It's really cool. I'm like a big people person, so it's nice to be able to connect to these like imaginary people that just exist on a script and kind of bring them to life for other people to watch.
That's awesome, man. That's got to be exciting, man. Because whenever you go into a new role and you read it, I guess you're trying to get in your head and get in their head and just trying to figure everything out. Huh?
Yeah,
Very cool, man. Very cool. Trying to think. I think that's about it, brother. Really appreciate you coming on, and shout out to you, Gabe. I appreciate you coming on here and giving me your time, man. I'm looking forward to seeing your upcoming thing. You got any you want to tell anybody how to find you or support you on your journey, your digital marketing
yes.
agency, or what?
Yeah, so I haven't. I have the website built for it, but I haven't started promoting it yet because there's a few changes I want to add on to it. But as far as like the acting stuff, people can just follow me on Instagram. I think my name is just at Gabriel Steven Perez. It's just my full name, and I kind of post like updates on there and stuff whenever I book projects, and kind of just like some behind the scenes stuff every now and then too.
Sounds good, Gabe. I appreciate it, brother. And this is a higher calling podcast, telling stories like Gabe's out there, aspiring actor, man, trying to make it, helping people out there, and that's what it's all about, brother. God bless you,
Yeah,
brother. Thanks for coming on
thank you for
here.
having me, man. You have a good one. Okay.
Absolutely, bro. You too, bud. Bye, guys.